back from your break, and welcome to the Dharma talk portion of our meeting today. And I just want to ask a few questions as we begin. One main question, how do you approach your practice? Do you approach it through the rational mind, the mind that studies and researches and listens to Dharma talks? Or the mind that hears, oh, the teacher says do this, the book says do that, YouTube says do something else? Or do you approach your practice through poetry and art, through what moves through your heart and leaves a flavor of joy? Through teachings, maybe if they're not completely understood logically, that just cause your being to light up and say, yes, this. And maybe it's both. I think it kind of has to be both. For me, it's both. What inspires you? What inspires you to try out the rational teachings, the word-based teachings? So for me, there's nothing like a good poem or the sound that arises from the meeting of the wind and the leaves, or a moment of silence with someone who is truly present when I'm truly present, or a pause in life in the right place, or letting one of those unanswerable questions interrupt my rational mind, the questions that have been rattling around since I was 10 years old. Well, what was before the Big Bang? How can the universe be infinite? How can it not be infinite? Why do people vote for the people they vote for? Imponderables. And I love the suttas, the written version of the teachings of the Buddha. And the Buddha definitely taught through speech, taught through the word, and the words were many and remembered faithfully by his followers. The monks and nuns who kept his teachings as an oral tradition, generation after generation, memorizing, cross-checking each other for 450 years until they were written down, and even for quite a while after they were written down. And so it's a really precious record, carried forward by love and devotion. And so this is this amazing treasure trove for us, the suttas, the teachings of the Buddha. But on my first encounter of them, they seemed so dense because there was so much repetition in them. And the repetition is part of what really helps people remember when they're carrying an oral tradition. And then when a lot of them were translated in the 1800s, they were translated into an English vernacular that's a little different from now. It feels a little formal, a little stilted. But I started finding or being exposed to some places in the suttas that just kind of did that thing of speaking to your heart. And there's a number of them, but one that really got me early on is in one of the books of the suttas called the Anguttara Nikaya, which is the numbered discourses of the Buddha. And there's this teaching, luminous is this mind, but it is obscured by the attachments that visit it. Luminous is this mind, and it is freed from the attachments that visit it. Luminous is this mind, brightly shining, but it's obscured by the attachments that visit it. Uninstructed people don't really understand this, and so do not cultivate the mind. Luminous is this mind, brightly shining, and it is freed from the attachments that visit it. The well-instructed follower of the way understands this as it is, so for them there is cultivation of the mind. So, just wondering if that touches you. Luminous is the mind. Luminous is the mind and it's obscured. Luminous is the mind and it's freed. I just love those words. Luminous is the mind. And in the Pali language, pabasaram idam bhikkhave citam. So it's a teaching and it also touches the heart. inspires the heart. And what is striking, I think, in this teaching is that the mind is luminous whether or not it's visited or obscured by these attachments. And so that brings up this amazing question to explore this morning. If the mind is luminous, and the Buddha is telling us it is, why do we practice? And how do we practice? The word that the Buddha uses for mind is chittam, which includes heart and mind. It includes thinking and feeling. Knowing our mind state is one of the 4 establishments of mindfulness that are the core practice of the insight tradition. Knowing our mind as it is, mind knowing mind, heart knowing heart. Mind aware of mind, its movements, its contents, what we can call our state of mind, our mood, the internal weather pattern. The states of mind that move in and move through us, like storms, like wind, like coolness, like heat, like doldrums. And the practice is so simple. It's knowing conditions as they are without judging or suppressing, knowing them. Because the weather is always there, the weather wins. And it's always changing around us. And so this teaching invites us to just be aware of the mind and heart as they are, to practice contemplating mind as mind. And then the sutta continues, okay, how does one contemplate mind as mind? Here one understands mind visited by greed as mind visited by greed, mind free from greed as mind free from greed. One understands mind visited by aversion as mind visited by aversion, and mind free of aversion as mind free of aversion. One understands delusion, its presence and its absence, and it goes on to list many other flavors of the mind for us to notice the presence and the absence of. Tightness, contraction of mind, expansiveness, joyfulness of mind, concentration or gatheredness of mind, freedom of mind. And of course we can notice a mind that is luminous, this luminous quality of mind that isn't erased by what visits. It might be hidden, it might be covered, it might be obscured or crowded, or maybe temporarily forgotten, but that knowing capacity is still there. So this practice is just really asking in, how is it with you, Ian, or Nancy, or Rule, or Elise? How is it with each one of us in this room right now? And really listening for the answer. Bringing kind, non-judgmental awareness to whatever we find. This is mindfulness of mind and heart. And so the Buddha said, this, the noble follower of the way, really understands. So for them, there is cultivation of the mind. In other words, we see that we have agency. We have what we need. We can see what's here. We can tend to this mind. And we can support the conditions for that mind to become freer and freer. But why do we have to purify something that's already luminous? So there's a beautiful teaching from the Zen tradition about a senior teacher named Hongren and his student Shenxiu and a lay worker at the monastery called Huineng. And Hongren asked his students to compose a verse showing their understanding of the Dharma. And Shenxiu, the senior student, wrote, "The body is the Bodhi tree, the mind a bright standing mirror. Polish it diligently and let no dust alight." So that's pretty good practice and in line with a lot of what we're taught. Keep cleaning the mind, seeing and noticing the dusty places, seeing what you can do, seeing how you can bring in and encourage positive states of mind. And so Shensho wrote this on the wall, and Huineng, who worked at the monastery in the kitchen and pounded rice all day and wasn't a monk or a monastic, saw the verse and so wrote his own. Bodhi originally has no tree. The bright mirror also has no stand. Originally, there is not a single thing. Where could dust alight? Okay. So which is it? That's kind of the mic drop part there. But which is it? Because both are true. Is there an I that has to maintain this mind and purify it? Or is there nothing but luminosity? Or is it both? And what we see depends on the direction that we're looking from. So as someone who strives a lot in life, who wants to get it right, and who wants to find something solid in a world of constant change, me, there's a lot of relief in Huineng's answer. Where could dust alight? Oh, that feels good. Where could dust alight, on this luminous mind of mine? Notice the mind. Because there's this moment of, and then there's almost immediately that grasping. Oh, here's the thing. Here's the solid place. This must be what I am. This luminous mind, this dustless mirror. Yay, me. And so can I allow this tension? Because it's easy when you hear those words, at least it is for me, and think, okay, so underneath the dust, there's this beautiful clean mirror, my true self. Oh yeah. All I have to do is uncover it a little bit. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying there's no mirror at all. Not a dirty one even that we polish clean. None at all. Don't look for a self in luminous mind. And when I came across this teaching, of course, that's exactly what I did. There's just knowing. Mind is not a solid thing. Mind is a conditioned thing and a process. There is knowing, but not me. So that question, if the mind is luminous, why do we practice? Or said another way, what does it mean to polish this dustless mirror? Are we approaching it from the rational or the poetic? The relative or the absolute? Shenshu or Huineng? Or both? Because I sure as hell can see the dust on my mirror. Yeah. I know it's there. So Ruth Dennison, my teacher's teacher, said we have two minds always running. This is how she framed it. The conditioned mind and the mind that is intuitive and aware. And I like that language. It helps me sort of get more perspective. And that conditioned mind, that thinking mind, that talking mind, that commenting mind is not an enemy. But when it becomes the main place we live, we get caught in the weeds. We get caught in greed, aversion, and delusion. And we get caught in proliferation, mental proliferation, what the Buddha called papancha. Spreading tendrils of words like weeds, like nutgrass that establishes itself in one place and then sends out runners, and the runners send out runners, and goes everywhere. That person in the store gave me a look. Was I in their way? No, I was not in their way. I think, if anything, they were in my way. Monday morning, every time I shop here Monday morning, it's like I'm invisible. What is going on? Why do people just ignore other people and act as though no one's here? Am I giving off some sort of signals that people think that that's okay to do? What would happen if everyone just went through life doing that? What would happen if I did that? Maybe I should do that, but no, those are not the values that I embody or teach, so no, I'm not going to do that. Why aren't more people like me? It's this culture, that's the problem. People used to be so much more aware and considerate, and now they're like sleepwalking zombies, usually on their phone or something, or looking at something. And why do they want all of these Trader Joe tote bags? What is the deal with the tote bags? Why are they lined up for them? Do I need a tote bag? Maybe I need a tote bag. Maybe I could sell it on eBay. I don't know. So what did I come in here for? I can't remember. So no wonder we want relief. No wonder we're looking for relief. And that conditioned mind is not an enemy. And it's not the full story. We have this innate sense that there is something more. We have a spiritual curiosity to know in a way that's freer, more direct, to know luminously. So when I experience that same moment of the person giving me a look, and I'm in the store from this aspect of mind that's intuitive and aware, I'm going to register that in a very different way. Probably I won't go into proliferation. Maybe I'll just give them a smile, send a little metta, or just move on with my day. Nothing more needed. It's not as exciting, but nothing more is needed. No layer of story, no expedition into the weeds of papancha. So, luminous mind is the quiet mind knowing. And that kind of knowing is not an end, it's not a self, it's the means of freedom. And right before he said that the mind is luminous, the Buddha said that he knew of nothing that changed as quickly as the mind. So the mind as we experience it is conditioned and changing. And what is conditioned and changing, he taught, cannot be a permanent home, a permanent self. But it can be the means by which we become free or freer. The entire path of our practice is illuminated by this knowing mind. So let's take a pause for a moment and just try something out. So everyone here is a meditator, or at least you're like me and you can sit quietly for 30 minutes with others without running, screaming from the room. So invite us to try something together. So just taking a moment to feel the body. And then if it's comfortable for your neck, just allowing yourself to look up toward the ceiling. And then looking downward toward your hands. And then if you'd like, looking to the left and allowing the gaze to move toward the right. Just taking in what's here. Coming back to center and allowing the eyes to close if that's comfortable for you. Feeling the breath. And just dropping in this question. What is this moment without judgment? What is this moment without story? What is this moment without judgment? Just knowing this moment as it is. And then as you're ready, just allowing the eyes to open and just taking in whatever's here. Again, no judgment, no story needed. So sometimes when we stop and intentionally open to experience just as it is, that luminous knowing is available. Is available to us. And at other times there are visitors that are clamoring for attention. What does happen is the more we practice, the more we create conditions and remember this quality of mind to know and be known, the more we experience it. So what are a few ways that we can practice with this? So what are the instructions that the Buddha was pointing toward when he talked about the well-instructed ones, cultivating the citta, cultivating this heart and mind? And so some rational mind instructions for practice meant to support the knowing of the mind that is beyond rational. So the first is from the Satipatthana Sutta that we looked at earlier, mindfulness of mind and heart. How it is with me right now, how it is with you right now. Checking in. Oh, my mind is visited with greed right now, or there's some aversion or annoyance right now. Or there's a joyful flavor, or I just keep thinking about that person who gave me that look. This is just naming the weather of our mind and heart as it's happening. And what is knowing that weather just as it is, not judging it or shaming it or adding to it, is the intuitive and aware mind. And the liberating part of this practice is not suppressing in any way. It's seeing and knowing the places that obscure and getting to know them well with an attitude of true acceptance, which takes time and skill to develop. We see our shadows, and when we see them, we can be in conscious relation to them, not simply driven by them or freaked out by them. And at first, when we see them, we may feel some shame. Oh, that shouldn't be here. I've been practicing for 20 years. And that might lead us to suppress or bypass. Let me just be with that knowing mind. I don't want to know what it knows. I just want to be with that mind. But it's okay that it's here, whatever it is, the old wound, the anger, the sorrow. And we get to hang out with it. Oh, you're here again. And the more that we hang out with it, the more it loses some of its charge. That luminous knowing helps us stay with it and stay balanced and resourced. And eventually, when that trigger gets pulled, we may actually find ourselves saying, oh good, here it is again. I'm glad I have the opportunity to work with this again. Little by little, the attention and care of that knowing loosens and lessens the shadow. So the next place where mind can watch mind is in the movements of mind. Remember the Buddha saying he didn't know anything that moved or changed as quickly as the mind. Well, we can watch that, particularly those areas of proliferation, papancha, like the nutgrass, the monkeys swinging from branch to branch. And So sometimes it seems like we're really lost, but there's a feeling that we can tune in to alert us that that's happening. For me, it's when I notice that the balance between internal and external is out of whack. You can feel it sometimes. Sometimes it's like everything is happening right here. And I'm not really paying attention to anything outside. It's almost like my vision clouds a little bit. And my mind is like a pinball machine, and the ball is going from one thing to another, and awareness is just being led along, just following it blindly. And there's a real flavor of just almost claustrophobia, internalness, like I'm missing out on half the world. So when I can sense that out of balancedness, I can come back. And often it helps to trace that thought back. Where did this start? Is this worthy of continuing? Just rebalancing internal and external. The third place to shine the light of aware mind is on that freedom side of the teaching. Luminous is the mind, and it is freed from visiting attachments, because it's not all storms. So noticing those moments when the sky is clear, and we all have them, and we likely have more of them than we think we do. When we're in that place where it's just kind of okay, we get tastes. I'm not lost in aversion or story or wanting. I'm at relative peace with my body, and I'm out for a walk maybe, and I take in the sky in a really direct, unfiltered way. The sky just lit up by awareness and appreciation. I know this body, breathing and moving just as it is, without comment, without correction, without a need for it to be different, lit up by this wonder of being alive. I know the person that I pass on the street as worthy of love exactly as they are, lit up by the heart. Same thing for that raven perched on the railing on the bridge. So we can notice these moments of lightness, of space, of clarity. And the mind doesn't have to be ablaze with the luminosity of 1,000 suns to be called luminous. Whatever glows, whatever allows us to see that much more clearly is luminous. So coming back to where we started, this practice is supported by the words and the wonderful instructions that the rational mind can employ. And it's inspired by poetry, art, nature, the realm of the intuitive mind, different doorways to the same room. And staying in balance with them, polishing the dustless mirror. The beauty of luminous is the mind doesn't mean that it's rare, that it's hard to attain, or a special identity, or a self. In Zen, this is actually called ordinary mind. It's a quality that's available to us the moment the noise quiets down, when greed and aversion and the proliferating stories settle. What's left is this clear, knowing brightness. Not a place that we get to once and then live there forever. Not a finish line, not an end, but a way of moving. Quality of mind available right now, however clamorous or quiet this particular experience of mind happens to be in this particular moment. So before we close, one more check-in. How is it right now with you? What's the the sense of mind and heart, letting the light of mind shine on mind and heart. Just knowing as it is for you. And whatever you find, maybe you're visited by something, maybe you're clear for a moment. That noticing is the luminous mind doing exactly what it does. Knowing, not a place to get to, just this, right here. So may we each know ourselves and our minds and our hearts clearly. May we know them with kindness. May we trust that this knowing is never absent, only obscured. And may we carry that knowing with us into the rest of the day, into tomorrow, into this week, and when we meet the next person who dares to get in our way at Trader Joe. Okay, that was corny. So let's take a moment to just do this practice, and then we'll open the floor again. Just letting your own relationship to the luminous mind be felt. Not identity, not limited, free and bright. For your kind attention, and I know some folks may need to head out at this point, so I want to welcome you to do that. Thanks, Mark. So I think we'll close here. Thank you for your kindness and listening and questions, and we'll offer our dedication of merit, and I'll put it on the screen for folks online, and we can offer this together. Going forth into this world so in need of light, may I bring all the kindness and wisdom I embody to each being and each situation that I meet. May the power of my practice today strengthen my resolve to be an agent of peace and justice in this world. Going forth together into this world so in need of light, may we together bring all the kindness and wisdom we embody to each being and each situation that we meet. May the power of our practice today strengthen our resolve to be agents of peace and justice in this world. We dedicate our practice for the liberation of all beings, the great, the small, the wise, the ignorant, the powerful and the powerless. May all beings be liberated from sorrow and loss, hatred and injustice, scarcity and want, and every form of suffering. May our practice today be a prayer for peace, and may it benefit all beings without exception. Thank you, and all blessings on your practice and on your week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, online folks. So good to see you. Thank you so much.